Hello, happy Thursday. For those of you that watch this the day I record it, for the rest of you, hi. We made it through tax season. We are a week and a day out, and recovery on our end has started. Feels like it, yeah, it's a road, it's a journey. But yeah, so today, you guys, we are talking about where we are right now, right? This whole series has been to help you guys along the way of the tax prep process. Starting back in January, we started with how to prepare to get all your documents into us. We went through all the different steps of the process, what to do when we're done, all the things. And so, first of all, I hope this series has helped you guys. This was specifically made for you guys as our clients. It's not out in the world. It's just here for you guys to utilize. So would love to hear your feedback on if it was helpful, if it was a waste of time, things like that. Would love to know if there's other things that would have been helpful during this tax season to have these little videos on. Love your feedback. So today it's tax season's over. Now what? So everybody at this point is in one of two buckets. Either you got your return filed and it's done and the 2025 tax season is behind you and you tied a bow on it and it is done, or you filed an extension and you're either in progress or maybe you haven't even talked to us yet, but you're either you filed or you're on extension. And either way, the most intense part of my phone is ringing. Okay. The most intense part of our year is behind us. Okay. That, tax season is just boom, boom, boom on our front. So it's intense, right? But it's done. So this is where the actual opportunity starts. All right. So what we do after tax season has a direct impact on this year and on next year's tax season. And if you've been around with us a while, or you've ever been on the phone with me, or we've talked, you understand that your tax return is a reconciliation of what's already happened. If you really want to save on taxes or change your tax situation, it's done during the year, right? So today that's what we're gonna walk through, kind of again tying that last bow on 2025 in terms of what documents do you need to save, what does your tax return tell you once it's done, how can you use it to make decisions, and what can you do this year to maybe you hated taxes and maybe your tax return wasn't what you expected. We'll talk about what you can do now so the next year is better. So we want to start with what should you be saving? And once your return is filed, what you want to make sure you have a full copy of your tax return in a PDF, all right? All the supporting documents. So essentially everything you sent to us, you want to make sure you have copies of that in a folder. So your tax return, all your supporting documents, your W-2s, your 1099s, your K-1s, your brokerage statements, and any important supporting schedules, all right, which should be in your return, your depreciation schedules, your carryover schedules, your prior year comparison, all of that is in your return. But make sure, so your tax return and all your tax statements should be saved somewhere. So what we tell people is everything in one place. So a digital folder clearly labeled by year. For me, I mean, I'm a little different because my stuff is in our client portal along with everyone else's. But if I was not a tax preparer, I would have a tax folder on my desktop. And within that tax folder, I would have a 2025, 2024, 2023, 2022 years folders with all of my tax documents and my tax return in there, should I ever need it again. All right. And so a digital folder that's clearly labeled by year is what we suggest. So the next thing, you're probably, if you did file your return, you're probably mentally, you're ready to move on, right? You're like, 2025 is done. I'm exhausted. I hate tax season. I'm ready to move past it. But I challenge you to take a few minutes to just review your return at a high level. If you had your return review call with me, we would have done this. If you didn't take didn't take advantage of that, in case if you didn't know, it's there. When your return is ready, at the very bottom, it says schedule a return call, a review call with Bree. I recommend it because this forces you to take a few minutes to review your return. And when there's accountability, that being you have to meet with me and we have to look over it, there tends to be you're more likely to do it. If you did not take that opportunity, but you still want to take advantage of looking at your return and learning what you can from it, what I challenge you to do is open up your tax return and go to the 2-year comparison. That is my favorite page to start on because on that, it's one page. It's not flipping back and forth. They're scanning up and down throughout your return. It's one page where you're going to be able to see your total income, your total tax paid, your total refund or amount due, and you can compare it to the year before to see if there were any major changes year over year. All right, so I challenge you to go to that page, that 2-year comparison. It's at the very end of your federal return. And as you look at that, ask yourself, did anything this year surprise me? Was I underprepared for what I owed? Did something change that I didn't plan for that I want to do better going forward? And so this isn't about rechecking the return. It's filed, we're done. It's about awareness and using it as a tool to help you make this year easier. All right. And so how do you use your return and to flip into this planning mindset? Most of you work with us because we have that tax planning piece to what we do. And your tax return, it's not just a filing requirement. It can be used now as a planning tool. Because what your 2025 tax return tells you is it kind of outlines how your income is structured, where your tax is coming from, right? Is it coming from your ordinary income that you earn? Is it coming from capital gains on your investments? It tells you where that tax is coming from. And it can tell you what strategies are or aren't being used and where those opportunities exist. And we will get into this. We will get into this in the next upcoming weeks. But what we will do for you guys as our clients is we will do a tax analysis and we will send that to you and tell you like, hey, here's some opportunities that are available to you that can help cut your tax bill. And hopefully it'll show you, how much it can save you. And then you'll want to be like, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. Let's talk about implementing some tax strategies. But what your tax return can tell you guys is if you owed more than you expected, then we need to do a little bit better at planning. If you had a large refund, you might want to update your withholding because large refunds are essentially interest-free loans to the government, right? If you get a smaller refund and you're getting more throughout the year, you can either spend that the way you need to spend it, or you can invest it and actually make money as opposed to just letting the government hold it until you file your return, right? If you have a business and in 2026 you are planning on seeing, or maybe in 2025 you saw business income growth and you think that that trend is going to continue in 2026, you may need to think about how your business is structured or think about some strategy changes. Or if there's new investments, maybe you have some money in whatever, however you have it, you have this extra cash and you want to know how you can invest it in a way that maybe is tax advantageous. All right. And that's all stuff we help you with. But by looking at your return, you know, what you expect or want versus what actually happened. Because a lot of people want to get large refunds back. Some people don't want to pay until tax season. They put it aside, they let it grow interest, and so every client is different in how your cash flow is. But by looking at your return and comparing it to what you want, it can help you kind of find that direction for when we do get into tax planning later in the year. You're not coming into it blind, right? You have a little bit of guidance on which direction you want to go. Let's see. So, adjustments to make now. So yes, we are going to get into over the summer, right? We're going to do your tax analysis. In third quarter, we do tax projections, say, for you guys. But what can you do now, right? And so there's a few things. So estimates and withholding. If you owed money on your tax return, or the flip side, you received a larger refund, like I briefly mentioned, it might be time to adjust, whether it's your estimated payments, your W-4 withholding. But the point is you just want to avoid big surprises, next year. And so if 2026, if you're anticipating it looking very similar to 2025, but you don't want your tax return to be the same, right? Either you don't want a large refund or you don't want a large balance, then you can make adjustments now to change your situation now and avoid that and change what next tax season looks like. For my business owners, if you have a Schedule C business or an S Corp or partnership, now is the time to get things in order if they didn't feel good last year. So making sure your bookkeeping is current. All right, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest setback for people when it comes to tax season is the books aren't ready. Bookkeeping's not done. So get that plan in place. If it's not you, because whether it's you don't want to do it, you don't keep up with it, whatever the reason, then find someone that can help you with that bookkeeping to keep it current. And make sure at a minimum, you're staying up to date on a monthly basis, okay? A monthly system. All right, if you get a good bookkeeper, a lot of times they'll be in there weekly or even more frequently. That's great, but monthly at minimum, all right? And most of our clients, you guys are pretty good at this. There's still some people that this is a work in progress. And so some of you, it's going even farther back, or like earlier in the steps and separating your business and personal clearly. All right. We do not want commingling. Business account or business credit card for those business expenses, personal over here on this side. All right. That in itself is going to, in turn, make the bookkeeping easier, which will make the tax prep easier. All right. And we talk about systems and organizations. What I want you to ask yourself is, was tax season hard? And if so, what made it hard? All right. And then what can you do to fix that? All right. Is there an opportunity to create a consistent document storage system so that you're not come next January, February trying to, wrangle up documents? Can you find a place where when those emails come in that say your tax document's ready, you can just drag it there? Right, for my business owners, tracking those income and expenses throughout the year instead of waiting till year ends and trying to, again, collect those expenses. And keeping notes on major transactions as they happen. For most of our business owners, you guys, most of you are at a place where you're using QuickBooks Online or Xero or something like that. So when you have a big purchase, using that note section in that software, great opportunity so that you can remember what it was that you spent it on, and that helps us know how to record it next year. Especially when you're doing things in first and second quarter and then trying to remember it in a year, that's crazy, right? So doing things like keeping notes now to help you make tax season easier next year. And then what do you want to do differently next year? And this is the biggest area of opportunity for all of you guys as our clients. And the thing we want to just slowly get better at, or have you guys get better at if it's still a work in progress, is not waiting until next tax season to think about these things. All right. And I've said it already a couple times, but organizing documents throughout the year. Okay. When you make big purchases, even if you don't have a business, you guys, if you buy or sell your house, if you buy a car, anything where you're like, this might have, even if you don't know if it has a tax implication, if it might, stick it in that folder. All right. Because you don't know, not only do you not know the tax code, you're not expected to, but also the tax code seems to be, it's gotten into a routine of changing, and you just don't know what's going to be relevant come next tax season. So organize your documents throughout the year. Keep everything in one place, right? Communicate changes earlier. And again, whether you are a foundations or maintenance client or a basic client who, we do your tax prep, we do your tax analysis, and we do your projection. So that's the bare minimum. Okay, that's all of our clients get that process or those oh my God, services. Jeez, Bree. All of you guys have those services. And then some of you are on maintenance plans where you get a little bit more. So even those of you that are on our most basic, our most fundamental, yeah, basic plan still have those opportunities to plan and adjust when things change. And what I want you to do is make sure you communicate those changes with us. So let us know if you start or close a business, if you buy or sell a property, if you have major income changes, if you experience life changes, right? Married, divorce, kids, anything like that. And it might not necessarily mean we have to have a meeting or anything like that, but let us help you with that decision. So it's an email to support@breebearcpa.com saying, hey, I'm starting a business. I want to know if that's something, you would mind helping me out with, or what that looks like in terms of how we can work together. And we will help you. Okay. Well, we will, or it's like, hey, we're selling our main, we're selling our property this year. We're selling our house, right? And we're moving. What do we need to meet with you? What does that look like? And sometimes it's not a meeting, but sometimes it's just us emailing you back saying, yeah, no need to meet, but make sure you keep these documents, right? So super simple. And sometimes it is like, hey, this is a big deal. Let's make sure we meet and get our ducks in a row before this happens. And I just want you to start thinking from a proactive place instead of reactive. So instead of next tax season going, what happened? I want us to start thinking about what can we do before year end to whether it's make tax season easier, lower our tax bill, whatever that looks like, what can we do now? Or what can we do this year? Not come next tax season and say what happened. Okay. And to circle back to the role of tax planning, and for a lot of you, you have just, whether you're new to us or maybe you've used us for years and you've just really focused on the tax return, the tax preparation part, and never really thought about tax planning and tax strategy, I challenge you to think about it. And at least, even if you're like, I don't think it applies to me, let us make that decision. Okay. Because there are some times where it doesn't apply. Like there are a handful of clients where it's like there's not, we don't have a lot of opportunity. But for most of you, there's something we can be doing to help you. And again, it might be in how do we cut our tax bill, but it might just be in the timing of things, right? In adjusting our W-2 withholding or adjusting those estimated payments. And so utilize the services you're paying for and let us help you. Because tax prep is backwards looking, right? It is reconciliation of what already happened with very, very little opportunity to do anything. Tax planning is forward looking. What can we do now? What can we do in the near future to help make this year easier and to save money or to just help with our cash flow? So many opportunities. So tax planning, you guys, it reduces those surprises, right? Because at the very least, we will be able to, even if we do not have any tax strategies to implement, or you choose not to implement any tax strategies, at the very least, we can do a projection in third quarter that says, hey, here's what your tax bill is going to look like, and here's what you've paid in so far. So at least you're not surprised come next. Even if it is a big tax bill, you're not surprised by it. You know that it's coming. You are able to prepare, set money aside, maybe implement some strategies now, identify those opportunities, and it just helps you make better financial decisions. And I just, at the very least, want you guys to make sure you're challenging yourself to think of us and as your tax advisors, and more than just your tax preparers. Okay, we can help you in some way, shape, or form. All right, so please lean on us. That is what we're here for. And just because tax season is over, it doesn't mean your financial picture stops. It is still moving. This year is changing. This year things are happening. So what matters now is staying organized, staying aware of what's going on, and like I said, staying proactive. All right, that's where I challenge you guys. And we are doing our best. We do our best to to send out reminders, make sure you know that, hey, it's tax planning season. This is what we need from you. Schedule all the things. And we will continue to try to make this process easier for you guys. That's always one of our, I don't want to say like our foundations, but that is always something we are working on. Not only being the best in communicating with you guys, that's always been our number one, but also just how can we make this process easier, easily accessible to you guys. Um, and we're always working on that piece as well. But it's like what is it? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? We can give you all the tools, we can give you all the numbers, we can give you all the projections, but in the end, at the end of the day, you are the ones that have to take the action, right? You guys have to decide to implement the strategies. You have to make the withholding adjustments. Whatever those steps are that we come up with, y'all have to do it. And it starts with utilizing the services that we offer. All right. So yeah, so tax season's over. That's kind of where we're at going into next week. So things will change a little bit. I don't know what these weekly trainings, they'll still exist. I just don't know what they're going to look like. We definitely will lean more into like tax strategies, tax planning opportunities, things like that. So just trying to figure out what that looks like for you guys. But so keep an eye on your Friday newsletters. Those will still go out. Um, and we'd love your feedback. If you guys would like to see, like we used to do Q&As, like monthly Q&As, if that's something you'd like to see, let us know. Um, I might go back. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out, but I want to make sure that this time I'm spending is beneficial to you guys. You know, I want to make sure that you guys are benefiting from it because like that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm here for you guys and I'm doing this to help you guys make tax season easier, just make it feel more accessible. And I just want to make sure that these trainings are doing that. So we love your feedback. So otherwise, we will see you next week, guys. Bye.